All right. So we're back with my we're back with my third ever stream, and today's topic is going to be Arctic exploration. So like historical Arctic exploration, and then I think towards the end we'll get into some like modern climate science or modern science in terms of the Arctic. And my hope at some point in the future is to get a legit climate scientist on here. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but that'd be my goal. Is and I stated that in the past to get some like an actual climate scientist on here, which would be super cool. And Gordine in since our last stream did like a ton of work on doing my bio. We made a Twitter, we made a TikTok. So yeah, I think there's some cool stuff going on. And
Oh yeah.
Gordine, you got anything to say?
No, just excited to get going. Excited to grow.
Yeah, so we felt really good about our first two streams, and I really think that there are certain things that we can do to help grow the channel. And yeah, I'm super excited. So, first thing I'm going to show you is this right here. Oh, hold on, it's flipped, but whatever. So this is an audiobook of something called Endurance: Shackleton's Incredible Voyage by Alfred Lansing. So this was one of the foundational books in my entire life, I'd honestly say. I have this really specific memory of me and my dad going up to Loon Mountain. He let me play hooky, and on the three and a half hour drive, we listened to this all the way, and it was completely captivating. And this was just an incredible story of perseverance, leadership, and just like incredible like naval ability. So if you don't know the story, Ernest Shackleton was, I forget exactly the feat he was trying to do, but he was like trying to be either like the first person to, do you remember, cross the South Pole? Or
It's something along those lines. I don't know exactly. Yeah, I don't
we're
know the
gonna look into
exact.
it, but it was something along the lines he was trying to
We
do.
can just look.
Yeah, let's look. So he made multiple journeys besides this.
Attention to the crossing of Antarctica from sea to sea via the pole. The Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition.
Yeah. So can we
The
go back?
first land crossing of the Antarctic continent.
So can we go back to the just us again?
That's what they're seeing right now.
No, I know. Can we go back to? Okay, yeah.
They see us even when we're
I
looking at them.
know, but I just want to see myself here. So yeah, so yeah, but he when he was crossing the Arctic, when he was crossing it, his boat, the Endurance, got stuck in the ice and was completely destroyed. So they camped out in the South Pole for months and months until they finally decided that we have to do something. We have to like try to get out of here. So they took boats and they went to a island in the. I'm pretty sure this is what they did. I can't remember exactly, but they took boats and they sailed with basically. This is like in the early. This is in like the 1910s, so they didn't have that much technology. They sailed to an island at the in the like deep in the like I forget if the Arctic Ocean. I think it's probably in the Arctic, or I can't remember if it's the Arctic or a little bit in the Pacific. Um, yeah, I just got it. Yeah, a little bit in the Pacific. So they went and they did this amazing feat, and we can get into it. But like, if they were off by like 1 degree, they would have totally missed it. So they land on this It's called Easter Island, and they're there. And then they camped out there for a little bit, and they kept trying to figure out like, what do we do? How are we gonna survive? Like we're running out of rations, and they eventually figure out Shackleton and I think like three or four of his best men decide there's this other island that's inhabited because Easter Island's not inhabited. So they take these boats. It's just the four of them or the five of them. We're gonna get into it. Like look at some videos, but in a like an insane feat of just like naval ability, they miraculously reached this other island where I can't remember what it's called right now, but we're gonna look into it. And of course, they land on the wrong side of the island, and there's the other side of the island is where there's civilization. But this island, can we look up what it's called? Um, just go expedite. Yeah, that. Go down. Open boat journey.
No.
South Georgia. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yep, South Georgia is where, and we can honestly read a little bit here. So South Georgia was a whaling station. Oh, I can get that off. The strongest of the tiny 20-foot lifeboats. What's that word? Is that christened?
Christened.
Yeah, christened by James
No,
Car.
that's the name of the
Yeah, yeah.
the lifeboat.
After the expedition's chief sponsor was chosen for the trip, ships whatever McNeish, that's one of the guys, and like Frank Worsley, we see right here, he was like one of the main dudes, and they also came with the two strong sailors, John Vincent and Timothy McCarthy. So yeah, so they eventually got to this island, and Shackleton recognized the value. So the attitudes of the men and the point. Okay, in Shackleton. Okay, so self. It was launched on April 16th. During the next 15 days, it sailed through the waters of the Southern Ocean at the mercy of the storm seas. And again, if they didn't reach this tiny island in South Georgia, they later learned, the following day they were able to land on the unoccupied southern shore. And after a period of rest and recuperation, rather than put him at risk to sea again, Shackleton decided for a land attempt across the island. And again, this expedition it has never been done. To nobody had ever crossed the island, and they actually did at one point. They had modern scientists do it, probably in the 80s or 90s with like modern equipment. They attempted to do the same feat, and they found it incredibly difficult.
I do not
So
know how they did it, except that they had to. It
yeah,
says,
yeah,
they did it again when they were
yep.
like, how did they do that?
They did it. Yep. So eventually they reach the other side, and they go to the captain, or they go to the main dude in this island, and Shackleton's he has a beard. He's dirty. He's disgusting. He's wearing raggedy clothes, and they were talking. And he went to the main guy at this fishing station, and the guy was like, "Who are you?" And then Shackleton said, "I am Ernest Shackleton." And apparently the captain at that ship, like went down and wept because he had known that Shackleton had died, or he assumed he had died, but he ultimately didn't. And that's like a basic understanding of the story, and I hope we can get more into like getting into some of the details. And so after they had saved him, they were able to go back and recover the people from Easter Island, and that was super cool. So again, like I love this story because there's like so much like leader things to learn about leadership, things to learn about sailing, things to learn about the Arctic. It's super cool. And this was actually, again, the Endurance, Shackleton's incredible voyage. I remember just obsessing over Shackleton and like learning his story when I was young. So I'm actually going to read the back of this fantastic book. This is a thrilling account of one of the most astonishing feats in exploration and human courage ever recorded. In August of 1914, the British ship Endurance set sail for southern Atlantic, and in October 1915, still half a continent away from its intended base, the ship was trapped, then crushed in the ice. For 5 months, Sir Ernest Shackleton and his men, drifting on ice packs, were castaways in one of the most savage regions of the world. Lansing describes how the men survived a 1,000-mile voyage in open sea across the stormiest of oceans on the globe, and overland trek through forbidding glaciers and mountains. The book recounts how a harrowing adventure, but ultimately it's the nobility of these men in the indifragable, I don't even know what that word means, will shines through. And then Alfred Lansing, the author, is a native of Chicago, a journalist and writer. After serving in the Navy, he majored in journalism at Northwestern, and he edited a weekly newspaper in 1949, and best known for his bestseller, The Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage. So, that is basically the story. So now I want to get more into it here. So we're going to go to ChatGPT here that provides a pretty good explanation. So in ChatGPT, you can kind of get good information here without kind of looking on the internet. So Gordian, would you mind reading this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be right back.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah. What's this? Actually, I'll show it to you so you can actually see. All right. So, In 1914, Sir Ernest Shackleton embarked on an ambitious expedition known as the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. His goal was to be the first to cross the entire continent of Antarctica, a feat that had never been achieved before. Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, set sail from South Georgia Island with a crew of 28 men. However, their journey took an unexpected turn when the Endurance became trapped in pack ice in the Weddell Sea. For months, they battled against the encroaching ice, hoping for a change in the weather conditions that would release their ship. Despite their efforts, the Endurance was eventually crushed by the ice, leaving the crew stranded on the ice floes. Shackleton made the difficult decision to lead his crew in a daring escape attempt. He embarked on a perilous journey across the treacherous ice, dragging lifeboats and supplies with them. After months of grueling travel, enduring freezing temperatures, treacherous crevasses, and relentless storms, they reached open water. The crew faced another harrowing challenge as they navigated the Southern Ocean in lifeboats, battling monstrous waves and harsh weather conditions. Eventually, they managed to reach Elephant Island, a remote and uninhabited land mass. Knowing that rescue was unlikely from this location, Shackleton made a daring decision. Leaving most of his crew behind on Elephant Island, Shackleton and 5 others embarked on a daring voyage in a small lifeboat called the James Caird. Their goal was to reach South Georgia Island, located hundreds of miles away, where they could seek help from a whaling station. The journey was treacherous, with the crew enduring fierce storms and navigating with limited resources. Miraculously, they reached South Georgia Island after 16 days. Despite their arrival, Shackleton and his companions were still far from rescue. They faced the daunting task of crossing the mountains and treacherous interior of South Georgia Island to reach the whaling station on the other side. After an exhausting 36-hour trek, Shackleton and 2 others successfully reached the station and organized a rescue mission for the remaining crew on Elephant Island. After 3 failed attempts, Shackleton finally returned to Elephant Island and rescued all of his crew members who had miraculously survived for over 4 months in harsh conditions. Shackleton's leadership, unwavering determination, and remarkable ability to keep his crew motivated and unified throughout the ordeal became legendary.
Yeah.
Despite not achieving his initial goal of crossing Antarctica, his successful rescue mission and the survival of his entire crew made the Endurance expedition one of the greatest stories of human endurance and
Yep.
survival in history.
I mean, and there's like, it's not hard to see why I was probably like fascinated by this story when I was a kid. And one of the big things that like I can appreciate it now is like his leadership ability. Like they're saying to be able to keep these people motivated. Like they thought they were gonna die. Like they, to be saved from this was super unlikely. And another thing I like about it is like how Shaq like when he was like going on that last journey to take like the 4 lifeboats or like take like the 4 people on the lifeboats to get to that South Georgia island, like who he picked, like the not the politics, but like the people who he decided to pick because they're each part of a different team. It's just super super fascinating.
Mm.
So can we actually look up a picture of Shackleton and his crew? Just because I want to, I
Yep.
want caps lock.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so let's just look at a picture. Like, so I'm not.
I mean, these aren't the best photos, but obviously they're old, so
So yeah, so I don't know who brought it. Yeah, so there we go. These were the 4 guys. I'm pretty sure this was taken. Okay, the Southern Party on the Nimrod. Okay, left to right, Wild, Shackleton, Marshall, and Adams. So they look like
they
yeah,
look like sailors in the Arctic.
yeah. So yeah, and can we just go to Shackleton's Wikipedia again?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what he looked like when he's not after the a monstrous and groundbreaking journey.
Bit
So
different.
yeah, and he was born in Ireland. Oh, um,
Oh yeah.
that's my country.
Okay.
That's my heritage there. And actually, he will see later that he only died at 47 because he, for some reason, wanted to do this again. So apparently, it once wasn't, or like he went on a couple voyages, but that wasn't enough. All right, so that's kind of an overview of Shackleton, I think. So do we want to get into some content here?
Does it do any additional studies of his diaries? Medical officer of the 1907-09 expedition suggests that Shackleton suffered from atrial septal defect, a hole in the heart, a congenital heart defect, which may have been a cause of his health problems. It'll certainly do it. Dying heavily in debt. That's a shame. His small estate consisted of personal effects to the value of £556. Wow. Oh, equivalent to 32,000, which he bequeathed to his wife. Lady Shackleton survived her husband by 14 years, dying in 36. Wow. You don't you don't see too many people like that today. One of the last great frontier stories of exploration, really, because now we've been everywhere, we've seen everything. All right. There's really not much in this Wikipedia that didn't go into. How did he get into? What was his early years like? Merchant Navy officer, education, a voracious reader, schooled by a governess to the age of 11. Hmm. There. But that's a classic crazy story. That's one you hear about every time, and you're just like, wow. Lieutenant Major in World War One and the Russian Civil War. Wow. Oh, Lieutenant. Oh, Lieutenant and Major. Oh, I see. I was like, wait a minute. That's not a thing. Royal Naval Reserve. Commander of the Royal Victoria. Wow.
All right, ready to read that article?
Yes. Never occurred before how the Arctic is sizzling Texas.
Huh?
The oppressive heat wave roasting Texas and Mexico is rekindling a scientific debate about the effects that Arctic climate change might have on weather patterns around the world. Many experts say that rapid warming in the Arctic, where temperatures are rising 4 times faster than the global average, may cause an increase in these kinds of long lasting extreme weather events. It all comes down to the jet stream, a fast flowing air current that wraps around the northern hemisphere. Many researchers theorize that rising temperatures in the Arctic are altering the atmosphere in ways that disrupt the jet stream's flow, causing it to dip and meander up and down as it zooms around the globe. A wavier jet stream can cause heat waves, storms, and other weather systems to
Huh.
get stuck in place,
So are they saying that this
dragging out for
is?
days or weeks
Oh
on
wait,
end.
no, no. I was thinking the blizzard that knocked out the Texas grid, but I don't think that's what this is saying.
No, essentially, yeah, it's saying that um, since temperatures are rising in the Arctic, it's essentially just causing a butterfly effect that's making the jet stream less consistent, and it's causing,
Yeah, and that's actually something that is huge in the world of climate change. Is that even like the smallest effects or
yeah.
like the or big effects can have cascading
Oh yeah.
effects down the ecosystem. Like obviously when the well actually when the ice melts in Antarctica, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that it doesn't actually raise the sea level rise because it's actually part of the land, so it's actually already factored in to the sea level rise. Wait, or is it the reverse? Whatever. Someone can check me on that. But I forget. They're either it's the fact that like Greenland adds to the sea level rise and Antarctica doesn't. But someone can check me on that. We can probably cut this out. Um, yeah,
But it says
let's keep going.
that's what happened in Texas and Mexico this month. An unusual dip in the jet stream caused a persistent high pressure weather system known as a heat dome to form over the region and trap hot air. It's already baked the region with a record breaking heat for 2 weeks, and it's expected to drag out for another week or so, likely creeping into neighboring states in the coming days. And I watch a lot of Twitch streamers that are in Texas, and
Yep.
they've been talking about this heat.
Wait, when did this article come out?
A couple 6 weeks
Oh,
ago.
damn.
So yeah,
Okay.
just
Yeah, this came out like
today.
this came out today.
At
This
6
came
a.m.
out
6 a.m.
literally today.
6 a.m. today. All right.
Wow.
It
Okay.
says a number of factors likely influence this event, including a brewing El Nino.
Oh
Sometimes
wait,
this
can we look up real quick how often El Nino happens?
isn't
Because
it.
that's been a big thing that it's really gonna raise the
It's not once a year. Oh, every 2 to 7 years. Oh, every 2 to 7 years.
Okay.
They don't
My
occur on a
mom's
regular
calling me,
schedule.
so you can
Yeah, I'll keep going. Um, it says some scientists say these wobbly jet streams may happen more often as Arctic temperatures continue to soar. This is exactly the type of pattern that is extremely wavy and less persistent that we expect to see more frequently as the Arctic warms now about 4 times faster than the globe as a whole, said Jennifer Francis, senior scientist at Woodwell. The Texas event already has clear connections to climate change thanks to the sheer intensity of its heat. Temperatures have soared as high as 118 degrees, just 2 degrees shy of the state's all-time heat record. Some cities have tied or broken local records, including San Angelo. Hey, get out of there. And Laredo at 115. And the heat index, a metric that accounts for both temperatures and humidity, has soared across the state. Yeah, so not good things happening there. I know a couple people that live in Texas, and like I said, I watch a lot of streamers in Texas, and they've just been talking nonstop about this crazy heat and seeing possible causes, seeing a possible cause be something as far away as something that's going on in the Arctic is crazy. If as Arctic temperatures are rising, it can cause these very far-felt, long-lasting effects. It's pretty crazy. Hey, stop eating the books. You gotta eat. Gotta wrangle Rory. Yes, but I gotta wait till Will comes back down because I want to show him the person they're quoting here is a scientist at Woodwell, which he's gonna like to see. But yeah, that was the main one I wanted to look at because I thought it was very timely with what we were talking about and how recent. Hey, look at the look who got the quote in the article.
Oh no!
Jennifer Francis, a senior scientist at Woodwell Climate Research.
No way! Look at that.
But yeah, essentially they're saying that an unusual dip in the jet stream caused a persistent high pressure weather system known as a heat dome. And scientists are saying that these wobbly jet streams may happen more often as Arctic temperatures continue to rise. Because the Arctic warms now about 4 times faster than the globe as a whole, said Jennifer.
Yeah, and one thing that really affects when the ocean heats up is the calcium carbonate shells of various shellfish and other types of things. So when these are very sensitive organisms, and when you think about the pH scale and the acidification of the ocean, you got to remember that pH is a logarithmic scale. So only like 0.1 or 0.2 on the pH scale is actually means like it's a logarithmic scale, so it actually really affects that.
Increases exponentially.
Yep. So let's keep on going.
Some cities have tied or broken. San Angelo 114 degrees, Laredo 115 degrees. And it says, and the heat index, a metric that accounts for both temperature and humidity, has soared across the state, making temperatures feel well above the 120 degrees in some places. Mm-hmm. Austin broke its all-time heat index record at 118 degrees Wednesday, and Corpus Christi hit a staggering heat index of 125 degrees.
That is crazy. And this came out
this morning.
Today. Yeah, let's keep going with this. Ridiculous. Let's keep going. This is a good one. And honestly, one more thing that we're going to have to talk about in the future is blue Texas and the fact that Texas flipping to a blue state in the Electoral College is going to be devastating for the GOP. And there's a great video where Ted Cruz is talking to Ben Shapiro about that, and it's a good one. So let's keep going with this.
As global temperatures rise, heat waves are becoming more frequent and more intense all over the planet. The background warming can help explain why some events, like the one in Texas, are becoming so extreme. The science communication nonprofit Climate Central has developed a tool it calls the Climate Shift Index. There's a link here. Let's see what it is. Which compares the likelihood of an extreme temperature event today versus the likelihood of the same event in a world without human-caused climate change. What the? The index suggests that the recent temperatures in southern Texas are at least 5 times more likely to occur. That's crazy.
This is a great article.
This is a crazy tool.
Oh yeah, let's dig into this.
Select the location. Wow. Yeah, let's try that one. Let's do the Texas one. Let's do Austin, Texas.
I think we should do like Cape or something, or Boston.
I mean, we aren't really having much crazy climate, but Texas, Austin. We'll do yesterday. Climate shift.
Dude, would you consider this GIS? I mean, it's pretty easy to. I mean, okay, we can.
So the red down here, yeah, extreme, at least 4 times more. But this is even darker. So it's 5. Yeah. It made the conditions at least 5 times more likely, potentially far more. This is an exceptional event driven by climate change. So yeah, it's like beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's crazy. The heat is blistering even for Texas, yet it's not just the temperatures that are causing mayhem, it's how long they're dragging out, and a relatively unusual location for a heat dome during this time of year. That's due to the summer's wonky jet stream. It is split into two branches in recent weeks, meandering in large looping patterns over North America that can cause weather patterns to get stuck in place. The Texas heat dome isn't the only one. There's also a heat dome over Alberta and other parts of central Canada, and the jet stream helped drive wildfire smoke from Canada down into the eastern U.S. earlier this month. The exact drivers of the wacky air currents are still up for debate. The jet stream naturally wanders a split sometimes so that the influence of other factors like human-caused climate change and a brewing El Nino event could also be playing a role. El Nino is a natural climate pattern that causes temporary warming in parts of the Pacific Ocean, affecting weather events all over the world. It typically recurs every 2 to 7 years. NOAA scientists recently announced the arrival of El Nino, which is expected to strengthen throughout the year.
Yeah, so again, El Nino is could we get a definition of El Nino in the chat bot?
Sure.
I mean, see, once again, we could look it up on Google, but this is gonna be way better.
Climate phenomenon that occurs in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, characterized by unusually warm ocean temperatures in the central and eastern regions. It's part of a larger climate cycle known as the El Nino Southern Oscillation. During normal conditions, the trade winds blow from east to west across the Pacific, pushing warm surface waters towards the western Pacific near Indonesia and Australia. As a result, colder waters from the depths of the ocean rise to the surface along the coast of South America, a process known as upwelling. This upwelling brings nutrient-rich waters to the surface, supporting a diverse marine ecosystem. However, during an El Nino event, the trade winds weaken or reverse, allowing the warm water to move back towards the central and eastern Pacific. This leads to a decline in upwelling and reduces the availability of nutrients along the western coast of South America. The warmer than normal ocean temperatures associated with El Nino can have significant impacts on weather patterns worldwide.
Nice. All right, that was a good explanation. We can probably go back to the article now.
Yeah. It can influence the occurrence of extreme weather events such as hurricanes, floods, and heat waves in different parts of the world. And then, of course, there's La Nina, which is
What is that again?
it's the opposite phase, which is characterized by the cooler than normal ocean temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific. Typically brings contrasting weather patterns compared to El Nino, with some regions experiencing more rainfall and others facing drier conditions. Understanding and monitoring El Nino and La Nina events are crucial for climate scientists, meteorologists, and policymakers to anticipate and prepare for potential impacts on agriculture, water resources, ecosystems, and various socioeconomic sectors around the globe.
Yeah, let's go back to this though. Hold on, just check how long it is. Just this.
It's more or less at the bottom.
Yeah.
El Nino events generally shift the jet stream southward and have been known to cause a current split. These effects tend to be pronounced in winter, sometimes diverting storms towards the southern U.S. Climate change may also be playing a part in the jet stream's behavior because the Arctic is heating up so quickly. It's changing the relationship between temperature at the top of the world and those closer to the equator. Air temperatures affect the thickness of the atmosphere and the way the air currents flow around the planet. Yeah, that's a fantastic point.
Yep.
As the temperature gradient changes, some scientists theorize that the jet stream may become wavier and more meandering as it circles the globe. That can cause aggressive dips and splits in the current, like the patterns it's exhibiting in the summer. I find that very similar to when they talk about planetary orbits and how the more elasticity you have in the orbit, the more uneven and wonky the seasons become.
Wait, how do you have elasticity in an orbit?
Because the gravitational pull isn't exactly like the orbits are elliptical; they're not perfectly circular due to the the elasticity of the orbit. Essentially, if the orbit was perfectly circular, then every season would be exactly quarters, but they're not because the orbits are elliptical, and the more elliptical and crazy they can get, you can have depending on I guess the location of the points along the ellipse. Like you've seen how when you look at an ellipse, you can have like points more towards the middle, and you can see because you can have really long summers, very short winters, or conversely very long winters. But that's what it reminded me of when I was reading that.
Nice. All right, this is the best article of the night. So
these patterns are often associated with persistent storms or heat waves that get stuck in place and drag on for days or weeks. The Texas heat wave is a prime example, but other places are affected too. Wonky jet streams have been linked to severe weather events around the world. A study last year found that split or double jet streams are associated with extreme heat in Europe. In 2019, a study found that large waves in the atmosphere can cause long-lasting extreme heat and severe rainfall from North America and Europe to the Middle East and Japan.
Well, not nice, but interesting.
Yes. Some researchers have suggested that while the jet stream may be changing as the planet warms, other factors outside the Arctic could also be to blame. A 2018 review paper looked specifically at the links between warming in the Arctic and extreme summer weather throughout the atmosphere. It concluded that many questions remain about the exact mechanisms, but some connections likely do exist. So, to some extent, there is a connection. Summer weather has been less of a focus than winter weather and deserves more attention. That's true. The author of the study said, adding that a scientific consensus is emerging that the Arctic warming has at least some influence on winter weather. Yeah, so whatever the case. In general, the links between Arctic warming and the jet stream are going more clear, according to Francis, a top researcher on the topic. The exact connections between rapid Arctic warming and the jet stream are still incompletely understood, but I think it's safe to say that no one believes the Arctic can warm 4 times faster than the globe and not affect the jet stream, she said in an email.
So this is where I'm going to make fun of a pretty influential person in terms of climate policy and climate education, and that is Al Gore with The Inconvenient Truth. So I can't remember exactly. I haven't seen it since like 8th grade.
I mean, you're not going to say anything that South Park hasn't said about it.
But South Park, yeah. But that he kind of overplayed what was going to happen. He said like, oh, Boston or wherever's going to be underwater, and something that he kind of missed. I can't quite recall if he missed this, but I'm pretty sure he did. That it's not global warming, it's climate change. And
that's what I say all the time.
And this is an example of how the effects are wide ranging and not only in terms of heating, but it can really affect many parts.
It's all of the extremes, not just one.
Yep. I was just listening to the book by Bill McKibben called Falter, which talks about like potential world-ending stuff, and he was saying that a rule of thumb is that with climate change, the wet areas get wetter and the dry areas get drier.
And that's why we all have these scenarios where you talk to people who are either climate change deniers or they have no idea on this stuff, and they see extremes in the other direction, but they're so like wrapped up in their own like global warming is a hoax type thing. They're like, how can something be getting cooler if it's global warming? And it's like that's why I think it just being coined the term global warming was probably the biggest disservice.
Wait, so did Al Gore message it as global warming in the Inconvenient?
I don't know. I have a feeling that who coined global warming?
And then was it Al Gore? Was it Al Gore?
Or at the very least, did he make it extremely popular?
In The Inconvenient Truth.
Let's see. Was not coined by Al Gore. Has been used in several decades.
So did Al Gore and The Inconvenient Truth call it climate change or global warming?
That's actually, hold on. I kind of want to see The Inconvenient Truth, like Wikipedia.
Yeah, let's see that. And how long have we been live for?
Probably like 2.5. So, all right. Well, global warming.
Okay, yeah. Go to global warming real quick.
I have a feeling that
and see if it redirects the climate change.
I just want to see if global warming, greenhouse gases.
Because I remember, like, when we first watched this, and
glaciers melting.
When I was in 8th grade, the global warming was like
that was what you called it.
Yeah, that was the phrase to describe it. Yep.
Yeah, no.
Hold on, go down.
But when you go to global warming, it redirects to climate change as it should.
Yeah, we saw the 2000 presidential election, which one of my big interests is electoral politics as well. So we can definitely talk about that at some point.
Crimes of a hot future. Yeah, I remember that. All right.
But that was very good. We talked about the Arctic. I think we're definitely going to talk about the Arctic again for sure. And I thought it was a great stream, and we went on some sidebars. But thanks, guys. Let's get thanks everybody who contributed, and hope to see you guys again.
All right, peace.